For me, motherhood has been revealing, complex, and I also think that I've been able to find my own joy or my own definition of joy in motherhood. I think when I say it has been revealing, I think it's been sort of, clear to me why a lot of our mothers, growing up, my mom was a mother of 6, and she was constantly, figuring out what we're gonna eat, who's gonna go to school, who's doing homework, and she was also struggling with her own business. So when I say revealing, it revealed to me just how intense motherhood really is. And for myself, being a mother of 4 and having to step into that role of doing and realizing that I'm not gonna continue the same cycle, right? That my mother, had started, which was constantly giving to the point of exhaustion, of anxiety, and even depression, if you will, that affected our physical and mental well-being. So for me, it just sort of revealed all the lies that I think society has sold us, that, as a mother, you should give everything. You should sacrifice your life, your job, your career, your well-being. And so I think when I realized that, that then led me to the next thing, which is that, wow, this is really complex, right? Because I really and truly love my kids, and I want to be there for them. I want to take care of them. I want to make sure that I read them bedtime stories and, cook their meals, and it's perfect. Like, I want those things too. And so there was this, sort of push and pull that I felt, because I went to school, I got this amazing degree in chemical engineering, worked for various companies. I'm like, I'm not gonna lose all this because I'm a mother. And I think that was when it really dawned on me that we needed to sort of redefine motherhood, and that motherhood isn't about sacrificing. It isn't about giving everything that you've got. Motherhood is something that you should feel joy, intense joy, and have that good energy to do, because that's when, it's all exciting. And also not forgetting that these kids came with another parent, and what is their role and what is their responsibilities and how are they showing up, right, for these kids. And I grew up with a very present dad, like I said, and he tried all his best. But I think because of the kind of society we live in, where we've sort of defined a father's role as a provider and a mother's role as, the doer, the nurturer, it really, I felt like it was a disservice to my father, to be honest, because I felt like he really wanted to do those things with us. Like, he really wanted to give us a bath. He really wanted to cook for us. And I knew this because whenever my mom, went to have maybe my younger brother, and it was just my dad at home, for example, you could see him just dancing in the kitchen, making us meals. And I was like, why don't you do this more often? And I was like, oh no, don't tell anybody that I cooked, or, because it was something of shame, right, for a man of his stature to cook. And I'm going to tear up, because I feel like our society is doing men a disservice. Like, we're taking away from their humanity. We are sort of robbing them of that joy of being a true father by placing them in this box as provider. And my father was not just a provider, he was my father. Like, he really wanted to do these things with us. And I'm glad he was able to do some. But I feel so much pain for a lot of men that never got to experience that true joy. Like, I picture my dad, like, my most exciting moment is picturing my dad in that kitchen, dancing and making us a meal. Like, that's the memory that I would hold on to forever. And I wouldn't have that memory if he didn't step into the kitchen to cook for us. I had my 4th daughter. We went back to the US to have my 4th daughter. And I was heavily pregnant and this is my fourth C-section. So my husband is like, oh no, you're not doing anything. And like I said, I'm a doer. Like I want to, do everything for my kids. And it was like, okay, remember what you normally preach. We have to share the responsibilities. So he's like, I have all the evening routine down, like, because by then you're tired, right? So he said, I'm going to do all the bath, the dinner, do all the dishes. You don't have to worry. Just hang out with the other kids downstairs. And we were in our house, in Texas, and it's 2 floors. So I wouldn't be able to like go up the stairs every time they're doing bath time. But I would hear like, the kids singing and dancing, and it's taking them a while. Like they're up there for like an hour. And I'm always like, the way that I give my kids a bath, it's like an assembly line. It's like, come in, out. Like there's no, exactly. So when I give my kids a bath, it's not like, I'm like, let's go. Like, we have to move on to the next activity. But my husband takes his time. Like he's ordered like the bath mat and bath toys, and he's a germaphobe. So he's wiping down like, the bathtub even before the kids get in. They're in there and he's like teaching them about water, and he's washing their fingernails because he's a germaphobe. He's like washing everything. So he's spending at least 20 minutes per child. And I'm like, what is going on? And then the kids would just run downstairs like, Daddy is the best, at bath time. Mommy, maybe you shouldn't do bath time again because you're not so good at it. And I was like, wait a minute, you're right. Like, I'm not good at bath time. And my husband came down and was like, oh, this is always the best part of his evening. And that's why he hasn't been disturbing me. That said, I'm now in charge of bath time in this house, And I always like smile when I remember that. Like, that's true. Like, I don't like giving the kids a bath and he enjoys it. So why are we defining these roles when we really should be running our home as our most important organization, right? In an organization, the CEO is not doing everything. The COO is not doing everything. We can divide the work based on everybody's abilities. And so when I think about motherhood, I think about, for me, motherhood today is really something that I see as my gift to humanity. I don't see it as a sacrifice. I don't see it as something that I need to, do to make my children happy or, to help them get better in life. I see it as my gift. Like, my children are my gift to humanity. How I raise them, how I talk to them, and doing that in partnership with my husband and having a plan for, the gift that we are placing into the world, that is how I define motherhood. So I'm not seeing it as a chore. I'm not seeing it as, oh my God, I need to go get groceries one more time. I'm seeing it as, wow, like my children really need to lead a healthy and fulfilled life. And my husband and I are going to do everything that we can to make that possible. We've been told that you are a mother, so of course you should love to cook, you should love to clean, you should be able to do all those things for your kids. And the minute you're not able to do those things, you immediately tell yourself that, you know what, I'm a failure. I'm not a good mother. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be this amazing mom, and here I am failing. And so a lot of women take that and they internalize that and they start crying and they are depressed, they're anxious. First of all, they're exhausted, right? Because women are spending in Africa, or let's bring it back to Nigeria, 75% of the unpaid work, which is all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the errands, is being done by women. 75 to 80%. So when you look at that amount of work that women are churning out on a daily basis, some of us are doing that with a full-time job, right? So now you're taking 40 to 60 hours worth of, career work or business, plus another 40 to 60 hours worth of cooking, cleaning, running errands, plus multiple hours of thinking. That's the cognitive labor that is happening, right? You're not using your hands, but your mind is like, oh my God, okay, palm oil has finished. Okay, we need to stop at the store. Somebody needs to grab something. Did you remember to pack Decomi's lunch? There's just this, a woman's mind is constantly working. And that's where we see a lot of women. I think we need to we need to do more study around dementia and women's, mental health, because I think that a lot of the cognitive labor and the physical labor that women are doing is a huge driver of, this really, really horrible brain health that women have. So these women are feeling all of these things, and they're telling themselves that, you know what, I'm not measuring up. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Like, I'm not good enough for my kids. I'm not good enough for my husband. I'm not good enough for my society, for my church. Like, because the church told me that I need to be doing all of this, and here I am failing. And you see that in a lot of women's faces, right? How many women are we all seeing looking tired, exhausted, looking like, they don't want to. And honestly, like we laugh and joke about this, but women are being crushed. Women are being crushed under this burden of having to figure out the home by themselves and in the household, right? And I know that our men feel a lot of pressure in our society to provide, but I think that the pressure that women feel is all encompassing, right? It goes beyond women are also thinking about money. So this idea that women are not thinking about money is not true, right? Women are thinking about money, and a lot of our women are providing now. So we need our men to meet us halfway in order to make motherhood something that we can also enjoy, right? Because I think that for far too long, our parents, our moms, they didn't enjoy motherhood. Like, I always feel so sorry for my mom, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish you had a better life. I wish you said no more often. I wish you said no more often. I wish you were like, you know what, I can't take you guys to school today. Let your father do it. Or I just can't go. Like, I can't go to church today. My mom would volunteer at every single church activity because women's group, because this and that. And she let herself go. And now she's paying for it, with her health, with, how she sees herself in the world. And so I think that we need to help women reclaim their identity, reclaim their time. That's something that I'm very passionate about, is how do we help women reclaim their time? Because women have given literally every single ounce of their time, their body, their health, their purpose away. I personally don't even believe in outsourcing. When I think about the care, the work that women do, I always say, how do we redistribute that work, right? How do we redistribute the care work that we do as women? Especially if I'm, quote unquote, shouldering 80% of the work in my household. The first person we need to redistribute it to is men, right? How can my partner step in to support his own home? Can you imagine if you're the CEO of the home? Because we talk a lot about our men being the head of the household. So if you're the CEO of the home, then you should really know how the home operates and what makes the home operate. And if I'm just the helper, it means that, the real owner of the work is you. So in my mind, it's how we redistribute that work to men. Let our dads, let them pick up some work at home, whether it's helping the kids with homework, dropping the kids off at school, helping with laundry, whatever that is. And then, the next is our workplaces. What can workplaces do to support women and men, parents in childcare, for example? That is a low-hanging fruit, or providing them with parental leave so they can actually spend that time with their child and, and support the family that way. Third is our institutions, our government, right? What is the role of government? For example, should we be talking about universal childcare in Nigeria, right? That is for me, is a solid ask of what our government can do. And lastly, I would say markets, right? Whether it's, what are how can we utilize this 21st century innovation to solve for care for women? Is that, on-demand babysitters, on-demand housekeepers? What does that look like, for the future here in Nigeria? That is one thing that I'm gonna just throw out there. In my own personal life, I always just start with that framework. Who am I gonna redistribute to? My husband is there. What are you doing? And we always have a conversation at the beginning of each week. This is the plan for the week. You're dropping off. This week he's dropping off and picking up the kids so that I can get to all of my appointments, go work out, go do all the things that I need to do. And I'm picking up so that he can continue his work, go get his workout done. and so on and so forth. Nothing is outsourced on that front. And then what can I, my workplace, what is my workplace going to do? Well, I work for myself and my company subsidizes some of my childcare. So I'm able to pay for after school for the kids, okay, spend a little bit more time there. And the government is not giving me anything right now. But then lastly, the market, right? So I have a nanny that helps, she's more of a housekeeper that helps with, just making sure that the house is tidy, or you don't have to spend much time doing that. So what I would say is, thinking about, how to reclaim your time as a woman with those framework. What can I outsource to my partner? What can I outsource to my institutions or my company that I work for? What can the market give me? And if the government has anything, can I benefit from that? For me personally, I also prioritize my workouts, because that's one thing that nobody can take away from me. That, going to the gym and spending time to reclaim my body, especially after having 4 kids and 4 C-sections, it was important to me that I actually reclaimed my body. So having out that time, because like I said, everybody competes for a woman's time in our society. The church wants it, the mosque wants it, the PTA wants it. We're the first person they call in the library, inter-house sports. They'll call the moms. They'll put us in WhatsApp group, but nobody's putting men in those WhatsApp group. So, reclaiming that time for my exercise. And that has been the biggest game changer for me. I'm Blessing Adesiyan, founder and CEO of Mother Honestly, and I'm a chemical engineer, a care economist, also a mother and a maker.